Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and today we've completed our dark task set to us by our patrons. We have completed Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, a video game made by humans for humans. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, the things we've seen, the glorious things we've seen. And joining us, as always, to discuss all things Sonic the Hedgehog, Pete Busby. Hello, Pete.
It's a grim day in podcast land, but we've finished our pilgrimage. We can remove our hair shirt. We can get on with our lives. I bowed.
Hair shirt? Is that the term?
Hair shirt. Yeah, it's from the Catholic self-flagellation tradition.
Oh, okay. I
They
thought
wear
that was
hair.
a different name for a fursuit. A hair shirt.
I mean, it would fit with Sonic 06. But I bowed to popular pressure this week, you Philistines, and I actually did come up with some Hedgehog facts.
Yes!
Yeah!
Finally!
So it's going to be gross, though.
Oh,
Not that
Yeah!
it'll be a little gross.
Oh, no, I think I know what it is. I think ZP has given me this fun fact before.
We'll
If
find out.
ZP gave it to you, it's probably even grosser.
Okay.
But one bizarre fact of hedgehog behavior is they do this thing called self-anointing. So basically, self-anointing is where hedgehogs will cover their spines with a frothy mixture of saliva and some sort of stimulant that they've been chewing. And they'll do this for like a little while or like several hours, where the hedgehogs are so totally engrossed in this self-anointing that they don't really notice anything else going on around them. And the weird thing, well, I mean, beyond the fact of just the act itself, the weird thing is no one really knows why they do it. They think it might be like a strong scent thing. They think it might be, a romantic mating thing. Nobody really knows, though. So sometimes hedgehogs spend hours covering themselves in spit.
Awesome. Next
Yep.
fact.
Cool.
You're welcome. That's the only one I got.
Okay.
I can give you a
Well,
bunch of like they're nocturnal.
Oh,
They have between 5,000 and 7,000 spines.
What? Oh,
okay.
I thought you meant like the spine that we have.
No, that'd be
I
cool.
was like, whoa, that's
Okay.
that seems
I would have led with that
unlikely. Yeah.
When you were saying they anointed their spines, I'm like, they just put like a racing stripe down the back of spit? No, okay.
No, they're quills.
Totally forgot the anatomy of a hedgehog for a second there.
Well, that's easy to do because when you watch Sonic the Hedgehog, you know that anatomy is present. That other voice you've just heard talking about hedgehogs is the mistress of games, M. Palladino. How you doing, M?
Hello. Happy to be here, even though I may not have done my homework. But I
We'll
have
get
an
to that.
I have an extra credit assignment we'll talk about.
Yep.
I also have a hedgehog fun fact that I'm looking at in the Discord, and I'm not going to repeat it.
So join
That's
the
a tease.
Discord.
That's a tease.
Yeah. Maybe I'll save it for the end of the show.
Yes.
Is it about? I might have come across this myself and chose not to repeat it. Is it about
Yeah.
male hedgehogs specifically?
Yes.
Okay, I'm familiar with this fact. Unfortunately,
Okay. I'm sorry to bring this into our safe space of the recording.
So before we discuss Sonic 06, this godforsaken game, just our normal plugs, though they're slightly different today because we've paid our penance. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. That is our comment section, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That's where you can email the show. You can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. We're going to hash out at the end of this what our next Patreon game goal will be. I think the goal will be 50 patrons, though. And we are going to have some options for folks in our Discord to pick between as to what game we play and to plug some of the options. So if you want to be an influencer to decide what we end up playing, some of the options include Duke Nukem Forever, Ballin' Wonderworld by noted criminal Yuji Naka. And, Em, what was the other game you suggested?
The Lord of the Rings Gollum.
There's 3 options. If you have a suggestion that you would like people to vote on, join the Patreon. Get in there. This is your chance. We, unlike the Off the Deep End people, who with I believe it's either $3 or $5 patron, folks get to add games to a slush pile that they occasionally pull from, and you can make them play a game that you want them to play. We don't do that. We don't let you pick our own adventure very much because
we have dignity.
We have dignity. And so this is your opportunity. If you want to make us play some slop, or if you want to make us play something else, maybe you want to pick a good game for us. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be nice. You could, join the Patreon, get in the Discord, get ready for our decision on what the next game would be. Speaking of, the second half of Ultima Sonic 69 is happening soon with Off the Deep End. They are playing Ultima 9. So look forward to that podcast in your feed coming soon. But yeah, there's a bunch of the housekeeping. We should probably do a quick Discord report. What do you think, Em? What do you think? If
The
we went
Discord
to
report.
Yeah.
This one's going to be a quick one because I opened up the Discord and the first thing I saw was ZP put anime girl feet pics on my timeline. So that's the whole Discord report this time, ZP. Congratulations. ZP constantly wonders why I keep putting him into timeout. I would just like to put it on record that I do it for a reason. It's not just that I'm targeting ZP. It's the fact that I have to see in the video games channel anime girl feet.
In ZP's defense,
Yes.
we probably don't have an anime girl feet channel.
No, we do not. I wonder why.
What if we put one and then it's a honey pot, and if you post in it,
You instantly get kicked out.
can we build a
Insta-ban.
rule that bans you if you post in
Yeah.
it? We just have a honey pot channel.
I think we can get a bot that will automatically ban people for certain activities, but I don't know if we have to
We don't need to, but
resort
just
to that.
future reference, if we find this to be unmanageable, we make a honey pot channel, and that does it.
I will say, in the past, I have tried to find a way to specifically make it so ZP cannot post pictures. I have not successfully done so. Every time I try to do it, some other thing goes wrong, and then like the Off the Deep End people are like, I can't see any channels. So
Incredible.
I've stopped trying. But boy, howdy, am I! I'm on the edge.
You're one step closer to the edge, and you're about to break.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Well, yeah. I'm starting to get concerned that the cat is starting to like the spray bottle in this case, and the more you spray, the worse it's going to get.
Every time he's like, tasty bit of water. Content for the content mill.
Yes. I don't really have a big obsession of the week. I already mentioned Lisa Frankenstein last time. Oh, actually, you know what? I do have an obsession of the week. I just remembered. I watched a show. I watched a movie on Netflix called Love Again, I believe was its name. It stars Priyanka Chopra Jonas and some Scottish man. As the name implies, it is a rom-com. The remarkable thing about it is that Celine Dion is in the movie, playing herself. And it appears that all of the music in the movie is Celine Dion music. Which
Is that a plot point? Is that like important to the story, or they just did it?
So
What is this called?
Love Again.
Love Again.
The Scottish man is he's a music critic, and he's doing an article on Celine Dion. And so he's listening to her music all the time for the article, I guess. And also, if you paid to have Celine Dion in your movie, I guess it comes with the licenses to the songs, right?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
But yeah, the plot of the movie is that Priyanka Chopra's fiance, or like soon to be fiance, gets hit by a car and dies. And
What the hell?
She
I mean,
decides
you're already selling me. Laugh a minute.
she decides to text his number as a therapeutic exercise. And Scottish man, his work phone is assigned the number of her dead fiance. And so he wants to find the person who texts his work phone because he thinks her texts sound cool.
Mm.
Yeah, and Celine Dion's in it. It's an absurd movie.
It feels like two different movies that you've combined here.
It does, doesn't it?
One is a Hallmark movie.
Yep.
And the other is I guess a biopic about Celine Dion. I don't even know.
Celine Dion, not. I mean, she's in the movie. She's not that major of a character, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. But she's
Nick Jonas is in this movie.
Nick Jonas is also in this movie. That's also true.
Is he the one who gets hit by the car?
No,
Or the truck?
he
That would've been a
doesn't.
good play.
Damn.
But he has an amazing scene with his current wife, Priyanka Chopra. That's a very good scene.
Are they actually married?
Yeah, they're married.
Oh, that's why her last name is Chopra Jonas.
That's where the Jonas comes from.
I see.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, so check that out if you're bored.
What is it on?
Netflix.
Okay.
It has big, we filmed this during COVID energy, and I don't know if that's true. There's just
That's
a lot
the
of
vibe
scenes.
I got.
There's a lot of scenes of not a lot of people in them. And so I was like, oh, maybe this is a COVID movie. No way to know. Netflix just has a dozen of these films ready at all times, it would appear. But yeah, check that out. All right, we can put off our fate no longer. We have to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Em, why don't you tell us a little bit about this game that you played?
No. I certainly played it. Hold on. Let me just open up the Wikipedia page. So Sonic 06 came out the year after a previous game that we played, Shadow the Hedgehog. So if you liked that, boy, is there going to be more of that. You're playing as Sonic. Sometimes you're playing as Shadow. And also there's Silver, who's a new character. There's a princess. Her name is
Elise.
Yes. Sometimes you are running around with her in your arms. You are doing Sonic things, from all I could tell.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
Jumping onto platforms, running fast.
Sometimes.
Barely being in control. All the Sonic things are here.
Yeah. A lot of it actually looks like you're running around a very open city.
It's
city
open.
of Soliana. Their streets are very large, and you are Sonic, who is small, and it makes it seem even bigger.
Yeah.
How close am I?
You're pretty
You got
close.
Yay!
So, Pete, why don't you just give us what is the setup? How did Sonic find himself in Soliana?
I will answer that question, Gino, but I have a much more important question to
Yes.
ask first.
Okay. Yes.
So we all played Shadow the
Yes.
Hedgehog.
Yep.
Mhm.
In Shadow the Hedgehog,
Mm-hmm.
was Shadow always on roller skates?
Yes.
Yes.
He was skating then too?
They're like jet roller skates, but
Right.
yeah,
How did I not notice that?
he had jet roller skates in Sonic Adventure 2 as well.
Okay. All right. Well, he's also on roller skates in this one. So we're caught up now.
Excellent.
Okay. So
So
the game starts with a very good looking and ultimately misleading cutscene
The
in terms of quality.
cutscene at the beginning is crazy.
Yeah,
It looks
is
like a
crisp.
Final Fantasy cutscene.
It does. That's where all the money
But-
went.
Yep. So the Princess Elise is kidnapped by Dr. Robotnik/Eggman, who wants control of the fire magic inside her. And Sonic just sort of takes it upon himself to rescue her. And as you're doing all that, you're attacked by a strange telekinetic hedgehog named Silver, whom you have to sort of avoid throughout. And then eventually, this story doesn't make sense ever, but you get more information as you play through the same levels subsequently with Shadow and Silver.
Yes. So I feel we need to start in talking about this game by saying that it was not. So this was a game that had a deadline first.
Yeah. Boy, howdy did it.
It was 2006 was the 15-year anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sega decreed that Sonic 2006 had to come out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 simultaneously in time for the 15th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. So this game was developed at the same time, in some cases, as Shadow the Hedgehog, and once they realized that things were not going well, half of Sonic Team was split off to make Sonic and the Secret Rings also at the same time as Sonic the Hedgehog. So this game was developed
it should be
simultaneously with at least two other games.
Yep. And Sega did not replace the people it split off.
No, it did not.
There was no additional staffing.
No. So Yuji Naka, noted criminal, helped develop this game. It was led. Development began in 2004, and the game came out in 2006, which is a very short turnaround, especially given that it is for new consoles. And it is. So when I was streaming, how do I put this? When I was streaming this game, I asked how did this game pass certification, and I was told it is not a virus, and can be completed. And so it passed certification. This is maybe one of the buggiest games you can play that was released by a major studio.
Yeah, like nominally you can finish it. People have. I did.
But it barely, you can see the seams. It's mostly seams in this game. There are a bunch of features that were straight up not implemented. Most of what was implemented was not implemented correctly. Pete, how many levels would you say are in this game? Like actual
like
backgrounds
levels
and bosses. Yes. I'm not talking about how many levels do you have to play in the game. How many
you gotta play a
unique
bunch.
levels do you think there are?
All right, I'll set aside the bosses for now.
Yes.
5. Let's see. There's beach.
Yep.
There's train.
Yep.
There's desert.
Yep.
There's snow.
Yep.
There's Eggman's like fortress.
Yep.
Is there a 6th one in there, like a fortress point, like 2.0 that
There's
I'm missing?
jungle.
Jungle. Ooh, I forgot about jungle. You're right.
You counting city?
Eggman's fortress is
I'm not even
snow.
counting Soliana.
Okay.
Oh, that's snow. But you go in the fortress.
So there's interior fortress.
Right.
There's destroyed city.
Gotcha. Oh,
Burned
yeah,
out
there's
city.
destroyed city. Right.
So I believe there's 8 levels.
8. Wow. I'm impressed. You know,
I
the game's
believe-
better than I thought.
If you're not including the like interiors of these levels, I think there are 8. Those 8 levels.
And then there's 4 bosses.
4 or 5, depending on what. So there's Silver, there's Iblis, there's Mephiles, there's the Eggman robot
Octopus.
thing.
Yeah, like weird. Yeah.
There's Eggman himself. There's other Iblis that you fight as Silver. There's the final boss.
Right.
And Mephiles has 2 forms and Iblis has 2 forms. So there's like maybe 10 or so
But
bosses.
you don't play them
total.
all.
No.
At least you don't play them all in an individual run.
No. Each run has its own set of bosses that you fight against, though they are recycled also.
Yes.
So there's maybe 8 bespoke levels or so in the game, and then maybe like 7 or 8 bosses. And you play 3 playthroughs. So every character, I think, does every level. They all do all 8.
Yeah, definitely. And even some other characters, Tails, Amy, Rouge the Bat, a new Blaze the Cat. Everybody's getting thrown in. Knuckles,
Omega,
a robot. Yep.
Yeah,
but we didn't get our boy the Bee.
No, they didn't implement Charmy Bee. Big the Cat is nowhere to be found.
The crocodile dude.
He's
you
not
really
here.
Base a Sonic game based on if Big the Cat shows up. Big wasn't in Shadow either, so
it's a bad game.
That's a bad game. Yeah.
So there's about 8 levels. They slice and dice them over and over and over and over again, in the hopes to pad out the runtime of the game. There's also side quests that you can do. The side quests tend to involve fighting robots in the town or chasing people in the town. They just spawn people.
Rescuing dogs.
Yeah, rescuing dogs, bumping into a dog, and then having it follow you back to its owner. The side quests give you rings. You can use rings to buy items from the shop. Completing like 2 missions will give you all the rings you need to buy every item in the shop that is required to finish the runs. So it's completely unnecessary. There are collectible coins, which, as far as I can tell, there is nowhere in the game to see how many you've collected.
Nope. Can't do anything with them either, as far as I can tell.
No.
But they keep giving them to you.
Are those the coins that happen at the end of the level, or is that something else?
So you get gold coins at the end of levels, or you can get silver coins during the level.
But you see, the gold coins don't do anything.
Okay.
And neither do the silver coins.
Cool.
But the silver coins do even less nothing because they're silver, and the other ones are gold.
Right.
Yes.
That's how currency works.
So, yeah, this game is completely unfinished in many ways. It is beatable, I should say. But the physics, it uses Havoc physics, very much so. It cannot handle the physics that are being deployed. The game's frame rate does not like it when the physics are being used, but many mechanics are predicated upon them. Pete, how in control did you feel at any moment controlling any character in this game?
Even when Sonic was completely stationary, I didn't feel in control. At any moment, he could just disappear completely from the screen, or the screen itself could start vibrating uncontrollably.
It did.
There's no way to control anyone at any point.
Yeah. So, why don't we start here? Because I think that this is what people came for. What was the funniest bug that well, first off, what system did you play on, Pete?
360.
Okay, I played on the PS3. I've been told my version is the more fucked up one.
Oh, well, I regret to see what yours looked like.
So any given quest for me usually involved 2 to 3 load screens. Like you talk to someone.
I wanted to bring that up. Thank you for mentioning the load screens, Gino.
Okay.
We've described this incredible experience. Obviously everyone wanted to take part in this.
Yep.
How much load time would you be willing to accept for a game of this quality?
Hours.
Hours?
I think
That's good. You're going to get it.
Okay.
In aggregate, you're probably going to get it.
I will say I started to watch a YouTube video because I realized I was not going to have time to play the game.
And we'll get to your punishment later.
Yes, we're getting to that. But I've watched about 40 minutes of it, and I believe that like 15 of that was load screens.
Yep, they are frequently lengthy.
Yeah, or running from like one end of city to the other end of city, and then getting another load screen.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a lot.
The sequences where you talk to a person and they say, Sonic, help me with something, and then you get a load screen, and then it just shows them, and they've got 2 more lines of dialogue, and then there's another load screen, and then the level starts. Every time it happens, It's a delight.
Can we talk about how weird it is that you're running around like talking to people?
Like in
Because you
Sonic
weren't.
Adventure.
Yeah, is that a thing in Sonic games? Like, I didn't play
Not that
Sonic
I'm aware of.
Adventure.
It was in Sonic Adventure 1. Sonic Adventure 1 had multiple hub worlds. Sonic Adventure 2 did away with the hub worlds, which was a great boon. And then Shadow the Hedgehog also did away with the hub worlds. And then Sonic the Hedgehog is kind of Sonic Adventure 3, basically. So it brings the hub worlds back in the side quests, but they're dog shit.
They are. I also would have been much happier if they gave... So the people you talk to, they have a lot of dialogue, but they only say one word each.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have been much happier if they said 0 words each. There's one goon who says, hey, and you have to talk to him 1,000,000 times. And if I hear that idiot say, hey, one more time, I would have thrown my Xbox out the window.
So what was the funniest bug you encountered, Pete?
So I don't even know if this is a bug, but this one made me furious every time it happened. So there's a very specific moment early on in the first level where, and people if they've played probably remember this moment, where you transition from Sonic to Tails.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no warning. You're like sprinting in one direction with Sonic. You switch to Tails, and then if you continue trying to sprint in that same direction, you instantly sprint into the water and kill yourself. Again, I don't think it's a bug. That's just shitty design. But
It's just a smash cut. There's so many moments in this game where, like, the level just ends. It doesn't. There's no like, oh, you did it. Like, just a loading screen happens. You do a thing, and then it's just loading screen. It's like, I guess I got to the end, or I died. I don't know. I'll find out when it loads.
The other related one, Gino, I'll give you one more because I'll give you a little bonus. Is all the times Sonic sprinted past the camera, and you lost sight of him and didn't know where he was.
That's always fun.
So I'll start with the frustrating ones, and then I'll get to the incredible bugs. First off, any of the auto running sections of the game, I don't know it's a bug. I'd file this under poor design. There are sections of the game where Sonic auto runs. If you foolishly try to jump and lose contact with the ground for even a second, Sonic will fly off into whatever direction he was facing, and almost certainly die.
Yep.
If he gets so much as touched by anything, he will almost certainly die. There's a level where a fire tornado throws cars at you, and the cars and their parts are controlled by Havoc physics. So there was a section where the car blew up and a tire flew off the car, and the tire hit Sonic, and that caused him to fly off into the void and die. There was a booster that I hit at the beginning of a level where it was supposed to send me into a loop-de-loop, but simply pressing forward as though I wanted to run in the direction the booster was going to send me caused Sonic to fly off into the distance and die instantly. Which led me to any time I touched a booster, I took my hands off the controller, because any attempt to steer Sonic would lead to him dying. Any attempt to like direct him after he hit a bumper also almost certainly would cause him to fly the wrong direction. So that was just like a constant state. I don't know what to do with that. It's not really a bug so much as the game's wildly unfinished. The fun bugs, though. Pete, did you ever unlock any of the optional items you can buy for Sonic kind of at the end of his level?
No, I mean, I don't think I even bothered.
That's wise.
Yeah.
So one of them was like a purple device or something that allowed you to – it just said that you could shrink Sonic. Or you could control Sonic's size.
That feels
like such a bad idea.
Yeah, it feels like a poor decision.
Yeah, Sonic's the only character who has any of these fun items you can buy. It seems like the other characters were supposed to, but they just don't. So if you buy the shrink, this thing that says it can control Sonic's size, it allows you to shrink Sonic. If you shrink Sonic, there's also a bug that you can just jump infinitely.
Cool.
Like infinite height, like you continue to like jump from the part where your last jump finished.
If you just mash the X button, he will continue to jump from the peak of his jump. So you get an infinite jump. But only when he's small. And the camera hates it when he's small.
How small is he?
About foot height.
Okay.
It's pretty small.
So you can go under like the laser grids a lot of the time when there's levels where you're gated by lasers.
I mean, you could just run through a lot of the things that are attempting to gate you anyway.
That's also true. But the jump, the infinite jump, makes it so Sonic can effectively fly. And what I did at one point when I realized this, I figured, is there a ceiling on the world? That's what I wanted to find out. Did they put a bounding box on the top of the game? So I just spent about 5 to 10 minutes infinitely jumping, and I saw the curvature of the Earth in Sonic 06. I went over the mountains in the distance and found that there's just a black void behind the mountains. I tried to land on the mountains, and there was a bounding box, but it didn't go up infinitely high. So I eventually went over the bounding box and ended up on the other side of the mountains. I went under the city, and then I fell through a void. So that was pretty great. It didn't cost me a life somehow, falling through the void.
That's nice of them.
That was nice. So that was a thing. Another great bug I found was that with Silver the Hedgehog, I used his psychic powers to move a box, and then I foolishly jumped on the box. If I had to guess what was happening, imparting physics upon the box caused some weird collision logic to play, and jumping on it caused way too many collisions to trigger, because the game slowed to what I would describe as 0.01 frames per second.
That's not enough frames.
No. It took about 20 minutes for the game to play out about 2 to 3 seconds of game time.
It took how long?
About 20 minutes.
Oh, that's not good.
Of human time.
Uh-huh.
For the
And
game.
I mean, for like a lightning fast hedgehog, that's even longer. That's like 1,000 years.
Yeah. So that happened with Silver the Hedgehog. And yeah, it took about 20 minutes or a half hour to resolve itself. The frame rate is generally bad all the time.
It is. The camera generally hates you all the time, too.
It does. It can't keep anything in frame. Which of the three well, I shouldn't say which of the 3 characters, because there are 9 playable characters in this game that all were implemented. Pete, which of the characters did you hate to control the most?
All 9?
Ty?
No, I'm asking you. Do you want me to pick from all
Yes.
9 or just one of the 3 main ones?
You know, let's start with all 9, and then let's narrow it down to just the main 3.
No, pretty terrible. I guess Tails.
Really?
Yeah. Why, you like Tails?
I loved controlling Tails. Why did you hate controlling Tails?
Mostly the sound his Tails make.
That
also,
sucks.
yeah, if I just count the sound, like he controlled okay. I also hated Amy.
Yeah, Amy, I think, is by far the worst. Like, she's probably the worst. So Tails, the reason I liked controlling Tails, he has maybe the worst attack moveset I've ever seen.
I didn't attack anybody if I could avoid it.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. You don't ever need to attack anything with Tails. So it doesn't really matter that much. But Tails... So, do you know what Tails' attack is in this game?
I've not seen Tails in combat in this game yet.
It's a good one.
So Tails he throws a decoy ring case. Like, you know the ring things that you hit and you get 20 rings? He throws one of those.
Cool.
And they explode into rings, but not real rings.
Fake rings?
They're fake rings.
Decoy ring.
Explosives?
No, you can't pick them up. They just phase out eventually. But
Why?
they look identical to the rings you drop. So if you get hit and then you use his attack, you can't tell which rings are rings and which ones are your attack.
Do the enemies even care about rings?
No.
So why would that be an attack?
Well,
I think why is the wrong question when it comes to Sonic 06.
I have a pretty good reason. They made a model, you see, for the ring holder, so it was there in the code for them to use. They had a model, and they had rings. They were in the system. They didn't have to make anything. If they just reused it.
Sure, I guess you could do that. Why not?
Yeah.
Was it a placeholder? Was it supposed to be something else? And they
I don't
just
know.
were like, okay.
I don't
Could be,
think so.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Because sometimes you put a thing in a game to just, this is going to be a bomb eventually, and then you put a bomb in later on when you have a bomb made. But if they just didn't ever make one, or no one wrote down like, hey, I
Make
think we need
bomb.
to replace this.
That was one of the half of the team that left. Had all
Yeah.
those notes.
Clearly.
I mean, the crazy thing is, Rouge throws bombs. She has the same moveset with attacks. She has, like, you can see that they cobbled together the movesets of almost every character from the same bucket o moves. So Rouge has Tails' bomb throw and Knuckles' glide.
Yep.
So, like, they could have just made it a bomb. There are a lot of bombs in the game. So I don't really know why they decided to go with what they did, but they did. But yeah, he can just fly over most of the level, though. He can just ignore most of the game.
Which, like, that's his primary strength, is you cannot play Sonic 06 if you pick Tails.
Yep.
You can avoid as much as possible.
Whenever you get assigned Tails, you can just ignore most of the game. But yes, Amy is the correct, I think, answer. Pete, what's the worst thing about controlling Amy? Tell me what Amy does.
I mean, well, so like Amy's whole deal is her hammer, which seems like distinctly underutilized. Also, I know this isn't the question you asked, Gino, but I'm going to answer a different one. Canonically, Amy is Sonic's girlfriend, right? Or is this unrequited?
It's unrequited, I think.
Depends on the Sonic medium, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, her hammer in other games where you control Amy, her hammer is big.
Yes. Here it
in
is
this
not.
game, hammer small.
Yes.
It's very difficult to hit things with her hammer. She also doesn't have a jump attack for some reason. Unlike most of the other characters, she can turn invisible too.
Like willingly, I had all of them turn
Intentionally,
invisible.
or-
Unwillingly.
If you hold the square button, they said it at one point, Amy can hide by holding the square button and turning invisible. None of the enemies seemed to acknowledge that she was invisible, though. They
She's
just keep
invisible
attacking
to
Just
you.
for the player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so you can't see her.
What a great FU.
And her double jump, Pete, her double jump.
It's terrible.
And what if I told you that they made a double jump that only gains vertical height, but not horizontal distance?
How useful. Yeah, I can see why that would be a problem.
It's incredible. I'm like, oh boy, they gave me a character with a double jump. I can control them like a person. And then I double jumped and I was like, you monsters. And they require you to do the double jump, and like she moves maybe like 2 or 3 inches forward, but you need those 2 or 3 inches for some of the jumps.
It is brutal.
It just could have been a double jump like a normal game. It's amazing.
Do the other
Gino,
and the other characters don't have double jumps?
No, of course they don't.
Oh.
Okay.
they have homing attacks, though.
God,
But she doesn't.
she doesn't. She doesn't have any jump attack of any kind.
Hmm.
Everyone else does. She
They're
doesn't.
like 90. These like jump homing attacks are like 90% of gameplay.
Yeah.
Like all combat is homing attacks.
So who's, of the main 3, Pete, who did you dislike controlling the most?
I mean, Sonic's pretty bad.
I was going to say, it's either Sonic or Shadow, I think, because Sonic, they both control largely the same, except I don't know how much to blame controlling Sonic on the auto runner levels. Like, he just controls, the auto runners are the worst part of the game, I think, and that's not his fault. whichever model they put in that auto runner, like that's not his base controls at all. Sonic, though, his homing attack just is a homing attack. Shadow, when you do his homing attack, if you press the attack button another time, he just stands in place and does a 5-hit combo in the air. And that, it breaks up the rhythm, because sometimes you want it just homing attack twice, like it was Sonic. So instead you just hover in place and get mauled most of the time. But sometimes you get to actually do a combo, and it kills enemies faster than homing attacking them multiple times. So it's a land of contrasts. I don't know which is worse.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow also gets those like wonky vehicles.
Oh, right.
Which are pretty terrible too.
Yeah,
but I did blame Sonic for his auto running sections. So that's why I voted him.
Yeah. It's either Sonic for the auto running sections or Shadow for the vehicle sections. His vehicles suck so bad. Each
so
one
bad.
of them is so terrible to control.
What vehicles are in this one?
Gets a hovercraft, because, every gamer loves hovercrafts.
Yeah.
And a motorcycle,
A little, like, glider that shoots rockets.
but only once or twice, I think.
Yep. A big truck.
Mhm.
Yeah. The truck shoots rockets.
Do you have any other planes?
That's it. Those are the 4 things he gets to drive.
You didn't
And
have
jet
his
roller skates.
jumpy robot legs from
No.
Shadow? Okay.
Nope. He just has those things. He pilots them because they didn't let him have a gun this time.
Mhm.
Still working for Gun, though.
Oh.
Yep, he's still a cop.
Gino, what was your favorite level?
Oh, boy. Like, ironically or unironically?
We'll tell you what, I'll give you my answer and you can make your answer. Because I'm going to pick what I think is what the best level conceptually is.
Okay.
So, like, conceptually, the best possible level, I think, was Sonic's version of the train level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm
Because that
watching
one
that
makes
right now.
sense for Sonic, right? Like, you have to chase down Eggman's train before it gets away. Like, intellectually, that makes sense to me in a Sonic game. It's a bad level, because they're all bad levels. But that one makes the most sense.
Yeah, that's a good one. I debate between Crisis City, which is the fire level, but not when you're Sonic. Never when you're Sonic. Either the Shadow version or the Silver version, because I think that level at least has some stuff going on in it, and the platforming's not awful all the time. It's definitely not the desert. That's the worst level.
Terrible. What about the level where you abuse a killer whale?
Yeah, the beach level's not bad
What?
either.
That's pretty good.
Sonic's on the killer whale. Did you notice that if you don't complete the Tails portion of that game fast enough, Sonic just dies and you get
No,
And
no.
he goes
The
away.
whale shakes him off.
the whale gets away.
Yeah, and the whole point of this level is to trap a killer whale in
For
like a
what
tiny
reason?
pool by the beach.
Why?
Oh
Because
no,
it's
no,
gonna
that's a
take
good
Sonic
question.
away.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, it's not related to the plot. Eggman's
No.
not like controlling the whale.
Nope. Because you see in Sonic Adventure 1, there's a killer whale section, and they've been chasing that high ever since.
Yeah, that was actually good.
Hmm.
So yeah, that probably the beach or the Crisis City. Those are probably the 2 levels that I enjoyed the most, quote unquote, as much as you enjoy anything in this game. And it's good because you see you see the beach I think 6 times,
Yep.
and you see Crisis City about 6 times too. So you go through as Sonic, Blaze, Shadow, Rouge, Tails, and Silver, I think.
Do you get silver?
I think so. I think Silver goes on the beach too. I don't
Okay.
remember. Probably. There's
Sure.
only so many
Why
levels.
not?
Yeah, so they're all bad. How did you find Silver the Hedgehog's psychic powers?
So like Silver's psychic powers are like maybe the closest thing to like original gameplay. You would find out that like telekinesis is super original. But I mean, like it's the same as everything else. It's all wonky. Like you're trying to throw stuff, it doesn't go where you want it. You just sort of floats along. I mean, I didn't enjoy it, but I was like happy to have something different at least to hate.
Yeah, he doesn't. You see, Silver doesn't have any attacks. He picks things up with psychokinesis and throws them.
Okay.
See, this sounds like an idea. The gravity gun. Everyone loves the gravity gun from Half-Life. But imagine if it could pick up. He just like kind of randomly picked up things in your vicinity, and if any of those objects bumped into each other, his throw just didn't work.
Cool.
Yep. And if it was wielded by a total edgelord.
Yeah, so we'll get
Shadow.
into him in the story section. Yeah, there's multiple shadows basically now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the throwing doesn't work very well. I liked Silver because his jump was messed up. He's got like a jump and hover, and if you feather the hover button, you can just jump over most of the level. Basically, the less I had to play the game, the more I enjoyed the character. So my tier ranking of characters is probably like Tails, Knuckles, and Rouge in a three-way tie, because I barely ever had to play the game when they were who I was controlling, followed by like Silver, Omega, Sonic, like Shadow, Sonic.
Wait,
Oh no, Blaze. Blaze is better than Shadow and Sonic.
Yeah,
and
Blaze is
Amy.
fine.
Blaze is like what if Sonic controlled like a normal character.
Yeah.
But you only get to play as her like twice. And then down at the bottom, trash tier is Sonic, Shadow, and Amy.
Why? Let me ask a general question. I'm going to open this up to the group.
Yeah.
What do people like about Sonic games? I'm not saying there's nothing to like. I'm asking generally, like, if you're a fan of the series, what brings you to it?
Brand recognition.
You're 12 years old.
Sonic is bright
Both good answers.
blue.
Okay.
He looks like a friend. It goes very fast at times. If you are a fan of being overstimulated, this seems like a good choice.
I'm just not sure it's ever been good.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I know of a good Sonic game. Some people have said that there are some, but their opinions are questionable at best. People on the Discord.
Yeah, I mean it's much like Star Wars. The people who tell you that this is the good
Bite your tongue.
thing of the property can't be trusted because you know they harm themselves with the rest of the property.
Listen, you should watch Andor. Is all I'm saying.
Look, I need to play Sonic Frontiers. Yep, I know.
Let me look at a list of all of the Sonic games really quick. Sonic Adventure 2, I think, was better than the first one.
I played that one recently, and let me tell you, don't replay it.
Okay.
Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 both are better than this game, but are not good games.
Was Sonic Generations at all good?
That's another one that I think Sonic sickos go to bat for, but I don't think anyone else needs to play it.
I heard Sonic Frontiers, the most recent one, was good.
Yeah, I've heard that. But again,
from Sonic
people
fans.
They're broken inside. I don't know what to believe. It's like, oh man, Andor is so good. Sure, whatever.
It seems like every major franchise, I can like look at like the list and be like, these are the ones that are good. I know this.
Mm-hmm.
But not Sonic.
But not Sonic. Like original Sonic, even the central tension of Sonic the Hedgehog has always been, you want to go fast, and then there's always a platforming sequence that demands you go slow. And the character is designed and really only controls well at top speeds. Whenever you have to change direction, it always sucks. And these games always require you to do it. every time they make you use the homing attack for platforming in this game, and it's not just homing in on an enemy, like if you actually have to use it like it was a double jump, it's the worst.
Horrible.
The most dangerous thing you could do in a Sonic the Hedgehog game is use the homing attack to platform. That killed me so much more often than any enemy did. And it's true of every Sonic game. Like, it never stops.
We're gonna stake out a pretty solid anti-Sonic position. It looks like as a podcast.
Us as a society, this sold 2 million copies.
06 sold 2 million copies.
More.
How?
Brand recognition.
So like it was probably profitable.
I mean,
Yeah, I guess
profitable and good does not
Oh no, very rarely
correlate.
Yeah. But like I'm hurt that they were rewarded for their negligence and terrible work.
That's why they never learn any lessons, Pete.
What is the review website that always gives 8s? Is that IGN?
Yeah, IGN doesn't really go below an 8 if your game was developed by a large studio and functions.
Okay, I have to tell you then that this has a 4.8 on IGN.
Yeah.
For the Xbox 360. For the PS3, it's a 4.2. So
Game Informer gave it a 6.75, and Game Informer is
What?
even more it's even more captured than IGN is.
yeah,
Or it was at the time. It's amazing.
I used to have a Game Informer subscription.
well,
Me
if you
too.
had it around 2006, you might have had this review in it.
Would I have? I might have, actually. Wild.
Yeah, so this man, this game controls so poorly. I think we've covered most of the controls and the fact that the game it recycles everything. Pete, what would you say is the worst, just like the worst moment in the game, if you had to get, like, from a gameplay perspective?
Oh, from a gameplay perspective, I might have already given it when I gave the Tails. I'll give a bonus one then, since I've already used Tails and I've already used the sprint by the camera. Anytime you're in a boss fight where you're fighting one of the tiny bosses, like if you're fighting Silver or you're fighting Sonic, probably I'm going to say like 90% of the boss fight, you have no idea where they are.
Yeah.
You just have to hit the homing attack over and over again and hope you're close enough to hit them.
There's a dangerous man, and you don't know where he is.
Yeah, you have no idea.
So the Silver fight. If you are adjacent to Silver the Hedgehog with Sonic or Shadow, because both of them have to fight Silver multiple times, he will just psychic power you and then throw you, which damages you. If he throws you and you end up landing within, like, next near him again, he will instantly grab you when you recover from your invincibility frames and kill you.
Nice. Thank you.
There's no escape. He doesn't move. He just stands there, and you know he will kill you. If you attack him and you end up being above him when he grabs you, he will throw you directly into the air, which will cause you to land directly on top of him and be instantly killed by him grabbing you again.
Nice.
He can put you through a wall, I believe, also, which can glitch the game out entirely. It's terrifying. Fighting Silver, like, it's not hard once you know that you just need to wait for him to psychically pick up anything but you. But if you make any attempt to attack him, he will just kill you.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very good and cool. So my, like, other than the auto running levels, which we've already covered, the moment where you have to push a ball with Silver by pushing it with a psychic push,
the
and you
numbered
get
ones?
9 pushes.
Yeah.
You have to guide a ball through a hallway with holes in it by using Silver's push and using Havoc physics
Cool.
to accurately push it.
The notoriously reliable Havoc physics.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've described, like, this game handles very precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, that's pretty terrible. Most people, when playing through the game, elect to glitch through the wall instead of doing that the way that they intended to. I did it the way it was intended, but I was thinking I was going to have to glitch through the wall. What other just truly calamitous gameplay moments were there? I mean, the Silver the Hedgehog fight really jumped to my mind.
Yeah. Brutal.
Any of the boss fights, keeping like platforms in screen and the boss at the same time. The camera locks onto bosses and doesn't allow you to move it or control it, which would work if they made good decisions about where the camera should be. But they don't. Fighting Eggman with Sonic, the final Eggman boss, where you have to steer.
When he's in his dragon.
Yeah, when you have to steer the dragon into falling objects that are spawning from above. That sucks. That's terrible. Every time you have to steer something, it's terrible. So the story must be great then, Pete, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that's what's bringing people to Sonic 06.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the story of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, all right. Do I start chronologically? Like, all right.
Yes.
Let's start off. It's a time travel story.
Uh-huh.
So things are going to be So, all right, if we jump back 10 years, the king... Oh, God. The king is trying to create... He's trying to awaken the eternal flame, right?
Yes.
And in his quest to awaken the eternal flame, he accidentally awakens Mephiles, the shadow monster, and Iblis, the fire beast, who then go on a rampage. But fortunately, Shadow and Silver have traveled back in time, and they can now seal these things. So Mephiles gets sealed in the Staff of Darkness, which is also at certain points called the Book of Darkness. Not a book. And Iblis is seemingly sealed inside the princess, seems to get out periodically, too. Yeah,
so Solaris, the country, is named after a deity called Solaris, which was the flame that used to be Iblis and Mephiles.
The flame of hope.
The flame of hope. So they get separated because Elise's dad wants to control the deity because it's got time travel powers, apparently, and he wants to see his dead wife again.
Yes.
Because this is a heady story.
There's a lot, yeah, it tells you a lot about grief and marriage, sacrificing your child.
So yeah, the dad, he screws up his experiment and unleashes Mephiles and Iblis. And then Shadow, through time travel, seals Mephiles in a staff. And then Silver helps imprison Iblis in Elise, the princess. And then her dad tells her that the seal that prevents Iblis from burning the world to death, because that's what Iblis does. He's got the flames of destruction that'll end the world. He says, just never cry.
Yep. That's all she's got to do.
How the fuck?
So long as she never cries in her entire life.
Okay.
Everything will be fine.
Yes,
Cool.
Em?
That seems like a reasonable expectation to set on your
Good parenting.
Your daughter.
Your 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
We should point out, too.
I would cry
don't learn
immediately. I would, if I was given that, I would be like, that sounds really hard. I don't know if I could. And then the world would end.
World destroyed. We should point out, too, you don't learn about any of this until, at least halfway through the game, right?
The end of Silver's run.
Yeah.
You find out about each of this.
Good luck.
You have to play all of Sonic's run, all of Shadow's run, before you find out why anything's going on.
How long is each of the stories?
4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say 4.
Okay.
Depends on whether you get stuck in a 20-minute slowdown.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we at? Okay, so everything's sealed.
Yes,
In
and
various
Elise's
places.
dad dies,
Yes.
but she doesn't
It
cry
makes
about
sense.
it
No.
because she's not allowed to cry.
Because you can't.
Not allowed. Flash forward 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and we're at the ceremony we saw in the
Olympics.
opening cutscene. And Eggman kidnaps Elise to try to control Solaris. And Sonic has to save her. And she's kidnapped so much.
You see her get snatched by Eggman's like grabby hands 6 times? 6 to 7 times, I think, over all 3 versions of the game.
So
Many of these cutscenes are Sonic running away with her in his arms. And he's like, wow, glad you got out of that one.
you can see her falling in love with a cartoon hedgehog in real time.
Oh, we forgot an amazing gameplay. Well, it's maybe a story moment, so we'll bring it up later. But yeah, so he carries Elise, and then every time he puts her down, she gets kidnapped again. Every second she's not in his strong hedgehog arms, she is not safe. I guess we forgot to say that there are sections of the game where he's carrying Elise, and when you're carrying Elise, there's a button you can press to not fall through
The earth.
ground textures that would otherwise kill you.
Wait, hold on.
You just disappear into the ground.
Yeah, so if there's sand and you're not holding down the Elise shield button, you just fall through the sand and die. But if you hold the button down... Because
sand?
Because she's too heavy?
she's got magic powers
Okay.
that protects you from the sand. Same thing with water. You can walk on water when you're holding Elise and you use the shield. Otherwise, you fall in the water and drown.
Yep.
But some sand you can walk on later in the game.
Okay. Cool.
But not the sand when you've got Elise. That you need to hold the button down. Or you
So-
die.
Yeah, I was wondering why I saw Sonic running on water, and then later on there's a point where he is on a whale and cannot get off, I guess.
Mhm.
So I guess that explains it.
The lethality of water is in dispute through much of this game. In my essay, I will explain.
The liminal spaces that Sonic moves through.
Yes. So, yeah, Pete, Elise gets captured a bunch of times.
Yes, and in the course of rescuing her, at some point, she dies. She's on one of Eggman's rockets on his big plane, and it crashes, and she dies. And the only way to
Jesus.
save her is to travel back in time with the help of
course.
Silver the Hedgehog.
And Chaos Control.
Chaos.
So up until this point, is Silver a ally? Because you seem to be fighting him quite a bit.
So
You
he
are.
starts off an enemy. So, okay, you know how all Sonic the Hedgehog is basically just Dragon Ball Z?
Sure. Yes.
So Sonic is Goku, and Shadow is
Vegeta. Yeah. Obviously.
or Piccolo. They're all Vegetas at the end of the day.
Okay. So
know,
you're
the
saying
bad guy
Silver
becomes
is
a good guy.
Piccolo.
No, Silver's not Piccolo.
Silver's Majin Buu.
No, he's Trunks.
Oh,
yeah.
because he's from the future. Yeah,
He comes from the
obviously.
future and says, the future's messed up. We need to save the future. And
Why
he's
is
edgy
he
and mean.
fighting you?
Because
so
he
he's-
thinks you're going to awaken Iblis, who burns the world.
Okay.
So he comes up and says, Sonic, you're the Iblis trigger.
That's actually a really good impression.
I need to kill you,
Is that
Sonic.
really what his voice sounds like?
Yeah,
This
like
is what I
that's
sound
that's
like.
spot on.
This
I'm
is
Silver
not
the
what I was-
Hedgehog.
Not what I was picturing.
You're the Iblis trigger, and I'm going to kill you with my
He's
psychic
not-
powers.
He's not wrong.
I'm going to snap your little neck. But he doesn't.
Eventually he becomes your ally, though.
Uh-huh.
When he finds out Sonic isn't actually, well, it kind of is the Iblis trigger, but it's not really Sonic's fault.
He's being manipulated. So you see
Mhm.
Mephiles
Okay.
in the it turns out what he's trapped in the shadow scepter
Staff.
or whatever,
Yeah.
the dark staff.
The book.
He,
That is
he
not
gets-
a book.
they break the staff, and then when it's broken, he's like a dark ooze. But then he becomes Shadow. He looks like Shadow the Hedgehog. with no
But
mouth.
but he's
For some reason, yeah, he has no mouth.
but he's is he the gray one?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the gray version of Shadow the
Okay.
Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And that's because Shadow time travels and captures him the first time, and then releases him the second time in the future, and then captures him a third time. So Mephiles has a whole thing with Shadow the Hedgehog. You see, and he looks like him.
Thing.
So he tricks Silver the Hedgehog because he looks
Yes.
kind of like a hedgehog.
Mhm.
And Silver's a moron who's never met anyone else.
Yeah, and doesn't question
Okay.
how something without a mouth is talking to him constantly.
Uh-huh.
Mephiles, why you told me how to save the future? I needed to kill Sonic the Hedgehog, and then he just keeps talking about killing him. So yeah, that happens, and then they go back in time with Chaos Control. If any two hedgehogs each have a Chaos Emerald, and they bump arms like
Yeah.
You get in
I don't
time
know,
travel.
the Bash Brothers of baseball fame, they get to time travel. So they do that a bunch. And man, what's the best time travel shenanigan that happens in this game, Pete? What would
Oh,
you think is
gosh.
the best?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. I'm trying to remember like what they use the time travel for. It's like never useful. It never solves any of their problems.
No, because all of the time travel, like every time travel they do has already happened within the context of the story. Like it never resolves anything. Which I guess is good continuity. Like
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable like time travel approach, I guess.
like
Saying the
Shadows.
writing is good.
No, I mean it's
it's
just
consistent.
it's remarkably consistent in some ways. So like
I think the best one is the best line at least is when Shadow's holding the Staff of Darkness, which
mhm.
like controls one of the most dangerous entities in this entire universe, and he just gently puts it on the ground and like leaves. And Silver's like, "Bro, like you gonna take it with you?" And he's like, "Nah, man, I know what happens to it in 10 years.
I know where to
Maybe
be
change it. I don't know."
eventually.
Yep, that's great. I love when Shadow gets stuck. He gets stuck in the future with only one Chaos Emerald, and
Oh
Uh,
man,
and they find Omega,
Yep.
who's a robot, and they're like, "Hey, it's Omega, and he's in power saving mode. That's weird." And they move on, and then Rouge the Bat goes back in time, and Shadow elects to stay in the future to deal with Mephiles, and Rouge in the past, which is like hundreds of years in the past. I
200.
think.
It's 200 years.
200 years in the past. She's like, "Hey, Omega, here's a Chaos Emerald. You need to help Shadow in the future."
Just
And
wait.
so Omega just like waits. He pulls a Robo from Chrono Trigger.
He just chills for 200 years.
Yeah, and then he shows up and he gives Shadow the Chaos Emerald, which he then proceeds to never use.
Nice.
He doesn't use it to time travel. He like gets
That's
another. He time travels another way, that's pretty great. I like
forgot about that
also
one.
that when Shadow's in the future, Mephiles tells him, "Shadow, do you know what happens to you in the future?" And Shadow's like, "Why do I care?" And then he shows Shadow the Hedgehog crucified in a cyber crucifix.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
He's in a cyber prison. And then Mephiles goes, "Do you know who puts you in the cyber crucifix? Who cyber crucifies you, Shadow the Hedgehog?" And he's like, "I don't know who." And he's like, "Omega, the robot who's been helping you this whole time. He betrays you. Humanity betrays you. You should be on my team."
And then Shadow's answer, super baller, because I don't care if everybody's against me. I'll do what I'll always do. I'll fight.
Yep.
Damn. Metal as hell.
Then he takes
Yeah.
off his weighted wristlets
Mhm.
Yep.
and fights Mephiles.
He takes off his weighted trading bracelets, Em.
Hmm.
He has the rings on his wrist. It turns out they're weighted training bracelets, and he takes them off, and he's way stronger.
Okay, so that's a literal like Dragon Ball Z thing.
Oh yeah. Just wait till
Oh, yeah.
Sonic goes Super Saiyan. Like it's
Yeah.
it's not
I
gonna
mean-
get better.
I mean, he does do that all the time.
Hey, remember how you have to get 7 Chaos Emeralds, and
Yeah.
when you do, there's a miracle?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that before we even talked about this. Do you think they like Dragon Ball Z on the Sonic?
I've probably heard of
Sonic?
it. Probably familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, it's just shameless.
Okay. Where were we in the story?
Oh
So
God,
Elise is
does
dead.
it matter?
Not really.
It releases Iblis. You go back in time to undo that. Sonic does save her.
Yes.
Oh, we need to talk about the trials.
Okay.
Because Sonic, there are many popes in Solaris, and they give you trials because you need to go to an ancient temple.
Hopes?
Each
Or an
more
ancient
annoying
castle.
than the last.
Yes, and each of, I guess they're bishops, whatever.
Religious
matter.
dudes with pointy hats.
There's
Okay.
religion in this game.
Cool.
Christ exists in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog. There are many bishops
Yeah,
and
it's
cardinals.
Shadow the Hedgehog, who got cyber crucified for
He
your
died
sins.
for our sins.
We'll get
In the
to another
future.
character dying for our sins later at the end of this game.
Mhm.
You're jumping the gun, Em, and you don't even know it.
All right, I'm sorry.
But yeah, you have to do some trials to prove that you're worthy to go into this castle level that sucks. And so Sonic has 3 trials: the trial of
Wisdom.
bravery, wisdom, and love.
Yep.
Do you know what the trial of love is, Em?
Does he gotta get a little kissy?
No, that comes later.
Damn it.
You're close, though.
Okay.
Close though.
He has to...
Third base.
Yeah, things get graphic in the second half.
Pete,
He has
what's the
to-
trial of love?
He has to choose between Amy and the princess.
They're both just standing on opposite sides of a room, basically. And they're just like, Sonic, pick me. And then you have to
Okay.
pick. You have to walk up to one of them and say, this is the one I love, in a Sonic the Hedgehog game.
And if you had to
Two-
guess what the consequences of this action are,
Yeah. They kill the other one.
maybe.
No,
Nothing.
nothing. There's no
Nothing happens.
consequence
Oh, okay.
at all.
So
When they gave me the trial of love, I figured it was the only way to win is to not play situation.
that
So
is
I found
never
a
the
cliff.
case.
I found a cliff in the level and I jumped off of it.
Did it work?
That is a fundamental misunderstanding of the Sonic franchise.
No, I didn't. I mean, it ended the level, but I had to play it again.
Uh-huh.
So you were
You-
punished for your hubris.
I had to choose. I chose Elise because that was funnier.
Is there a right choice in the game's code? Or is it just, yeah, you picked one?
It's, you picked one.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just
Will your love?
you make a
But,
choice.
M, is there a correct choice between the human woman and Amy Rose?
Probably Amy Rose, because you are a hedgehog, and she is also a hedgehog. And Elise is a human teenager.
Yeah, she's 17.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, honestly, I think Sonic is like 14 or something. So he shouldn't be thinking about this at all.
He should be dead as a hedgehog.
As a hedgehog, he's actually
He's old as hell.
120 years
Yeah.
old.
He's way
It's
too old.
hilarious. Every time he's next to Elise, she towers over him
Yeah.
with her gigantic legs and her giraffe neck.
And she just loves him so much.
Uh-huh. I mean,
She does.
from her perspective, she is in a romance novel, and
Yeah.
Sonic is the handsome hero who continues to save her.
Very much.
But we can see that is a guy in a mascot costume. Like,
You can't trust him.
yeah.
Yeah, I asked my sister, what do we think is diagnosable about Elise? Like, what do you think's going on here with her?
She has
and
anime woman syndrome.
my sister was just, she was just like PTSD, clearly.
Yes.
From
lots
the girl who was told she could never cry again and
Yeah.
watched her father die in front of her?
Yeah,
Mhm.
she was like, she was
Weird.
parentified at a young age
Yeah.
because she was not allowed to cry.
Uh-huh.
So that probably led to a lot of repressed emotions, and then, projecting a lot of emotion upon Sonic the Hedgehog, the only person who seems to allow her to simply exist in the world.
You know what?
Seems like
I'm thinking that there might be a angle where we take this entire story and we just make it not a Sonic game. Like, if you presented this as like a Final Fantasy game, could be kind of compelling. In a
again,
way.
you're getting ahead of yourself.
God damn it.
Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense though. Like if you had like if the premise was like this princess can never cry, look at
Yeah.
how horrifying that is.
Yeah,
But it's
Like,
not.
this
so-
reminds
It's not.
me.
It is horrifying. It's not presented that way.
Okay. I'm gonna hold it because clearly I know the end of this game somehow.
Well, no, you see, what Eggman wants and what Mephiles wants, they want to achieve time compression, a la
Okay.
Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
They want the future, the past, and the present to all exist simultaneously
Whoa.
and to be in charge of them and
Yes.
to be in control. So it's basically the plot twist of FF8 is what they want. That's
I
their
mean-
goal.
And the
When I
only way
s-
to do that is to make a teen girl cry.
Yeah. When I saw the opening, I was like, wow, this is some Final Fantasy VIII shit. So good to know that was by design and not just coincidence.
Yeah, and like the Mephiles wants Silver to kill Sonic so that Elise will cry. He doesn't care about Sonic's life.
Yeah.
Nope.
He just wants Elise to cry.
But
Mhm.
okay.
Is there a better way to do that? No.
You
Cut
must
some
make her
onions
fall in love with a
front of her,
hedgehog
Like,
and then kill that hedgehog.
okay.
What a sick bastard Mephiles is.
Yeah, it seems excessive to have all these like kidnapping plots and
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Time travel.
time travel and but who can say?
Mephiles uses a database in the future to trick people into thinking that Sonic the Hedgehog's the bad guy. He programs a computer. I don't know why. Silver's a moron.
And like how?
I don't know.
He was in that scepter.
He was.
How did he get out of the scepter?
It breaks, they drop it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it just they like honestly they just drop it and it smashes.
They go, whoops.
Sure, why not?
So, like we said, Mephiles, what happens with Shadow is he beats him up eventually. With Iblis, Silver eventually realizes that he can't, like, time travel's not the answer, and killing Sonic the Hedgehog isn't the answer. So he just goes back to the future, and he and Blaze the Cat just beat Iblis to death with rocks.
I mean,
he
he's
throws
got a
rocks at it.
he's got a good point. That's one way to do it. Does it work?
Yeah, he
Kind
beats it to
of.
death with rocks, and then they're like, now we're going to seal it while it's weakened. And so he tries to use 2 Chaos Emeralds to seal Iblis in himself,
Whoa,
but it rejects his soul.
damn.
So
Because
Because he
Blaze
doesn't
the
he doesn't
Cat-
have that fire inside him.
Yeah, you don't got that dog in you.
I don't got that dog in me, Blaze. And then Blaze is like, but my soul is ablaze always. And
Yep.
so she points the beams
Holy
at
shit.
herself, and she freezes. She seals Iblis in her soul, and goes, now use chaos control to freeze me in another dimension and kill me. and Silver's like, no, you're my only friend. And then she's like, oh, Silver,
So naive.
I was not
So
your
naive.
friend.
And then she turns gold and ascends into heaven.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not joking. She
Yeah,
just
you're caught up.
floats
think
away.
You are.
You're caught up, man.
I'm. You couldn't make something up about this game without me being like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
That happens.
plausible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Checks
that
out.
third baseline. I mean, I was like, yeah, that could have happened. Would have shocked me.
Sonic's holding her a lot.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so that happens, and then that's, I think, catches you up through the plot of the main 3 stories. But then maybe
Oh my
one
God,
of the worst
there's
video
more.
game crimes. There's the final chapter where
Okay.
so it begins with Mephiles shooting Sonic the Hedgehog with a laser beam through the chest.
Oh
Straight
yeah.
through the chest. No blood
And
though.
Should have just
Yeah.
been a gun like in Magic Pendulum.
Oh man, that would have been so much better.
Man, it would have been.
that
but
would have been
instead it's a
memed
laser
on
beam.
to this day.
It's a laser beam, and he kills Sonic the Hedgehog. He gives him a bloodless death.
Damn.
And Elise is sad about this, and this is what causes her to cry. Which Mephiles should have just killed him himself way sooner, I guess, but whatever. And now Elise lets Iblis loose, and all of the main cast of goons that you remember, they all get trapped in time compression. Okay. And then they have to split up because Sonic's essence is still in the air.
My God, they did a Kingdom Hearts 3.
And
you gotta collect the pieces of Sonic's soul in the afterlife.
No, you need to collect the 7 Chaos Emeralds so that you can summon Shenlong.
Okay, so they did the
wish him
Dragon
back to
Ball
life.
thing.
Yeah, you need to wish him back to life.
I should have gone with that.
So you have to play as all 7 remaining characters because Sonic and Blaze are both dead. So you have to play a level as each of them. Pete, what happens in these levels?
You pick up Chaos Emeralds.
So
you basically go back through all the levels you hated throughout the game, play them for 3 minutes, and pick up a Chaos Emerald, and then you smash cut to the next one.
And each of those levels is slowly falling apart because reality's falling apart. And
it's a metaphor, you see.
Oh yeah.
Circles, like giant orbs, appear in the levels and throw boxes at you. They spit boxes at you that explode and kill you. And if you touch them, you also die, and they also have a gravitational pull.
Cool.
And they randomly appear in the level as you are running through it.
Why are they
boxes?
Crime.
Why are they boxes? Because, again, they have models.
Already built them.
It's just a placeholder thing that never got placed.
Had them lying around.
They just throw boxes at you. Yep.
Cool. Makes perfect sense. Really fits the metaphor.
Yeah, you have to play as all 7 remaining characters for 3 minutes each. All their sections suck. And then you wish Sonic back to life. And how does he get brought back to life?
Damn, I think you know this one.
Oh no, do I know this one? Oh, does Elise have to kiss his dead body?
She does.
Kisses his dead body.
I
got
from
it.
A human woman.
See, I don't need to play the game. I know what's going on. I can read the writing on the wall.
Yep. And let me tell you, it is hot.
Yeah, she kisses that corpse.
No,
it's like Romeo and Juliet.
Who at least were both human teens.
So she kisses him back to life, and he gets a full body erection, and becomes he goes supersonic.
I tried to track it down, right? I honestly thought to myself, there must be some record where it's Greg really wanted this in there, so we had to do it. If I was on that dev team, I would have threw that person under the bus so quickly, so everybody knew it wasn't me. But as far as I can tell, there's no explanation for why this happened.
I think we should write Yuji Naka in his current residence of Japanese prison and be like, would you be able to do an interview about this one particular scene real quick for the 20th anniversary coming up in 2 years? I think we'll be big enough to do this by then.
Definitely.
I'm sure no one asks Yuji Naka about this ever.
Yeah.
I would get...
Who knows?
I would get committed to Japanese prison and learn Japanese just to be able to ask him.
Okay.
It's a very long con.
The plan. Step 1. We send Pete to Japan. Step 2. Commits crimes. Step 3.
All crimes.
We make sure that he is cellmates with one Yuji Naka. Step 4. Win his trust. Step 5, he tells us the secret of Sonic 06.
Get answers. Step 6, get paroled for my service to humanity.
Yes, step 06, get paroled. Step 7, tell the truth.
And that's how we revive Sonic the Hedgehog, by collecting the 7
truths.
7 truths. All right.
Yeah.
Easy. Get to it, Pete.
Well, I'm working on it.
After Sonic gets the full body erection, he passes it on.
He goes Super
passes it on
Saiyan.
to Shadow and Silver. They all hold hands,
and
they form a circle of a kind, and they each go Super Sonic. And then you have to fight a giant, I don't know,
Ultimate
JRPG
Solaris.
final boss sort
Yeah.
of looking thing.
Cool.
It's just a big abstract monster.
Uh-huh. Is this going to fix time?
Yes.
So they're gonna kill a god, and they're
Yeah.
like, we can't kill a god. It's a god. Well, I'm super strong. I'm Shadow the Hedgehog. I can kill a god. And then they decide they couldn't, in fact, but they can kill its consciousness. So they make the god brain dead.
Okay.
So that's their plan. Because Mephiles and Iblis fuse and become the god Solaris again. It's a bad boss fight. It's like bad Space Harrier.
Okay.
Each Sonic, Shadow, and Silver each have their own mechanics. Silver's is bad physics gun again. Shadow shoots laser beams, and Sonic does a spin dash, basically. And you have to beat it by using Silver first, and then Shadow, and then Sonic. And then phase 2, you can use whoever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, once you defeat it, Pete, what happens? What happens when you defeat the final boss?
Time, well, it becomes the flame of hope again. And time more or less resets. You go back to that opening cutscene. But because you reset time, the princess will never remember those magical moments she spent
No.
with Sonic the Hedgehog.
It'd be a
Unfortunately,
tragedy.
we all have to remember him.
You, the player, must carry this knowledge in her stead.
Yep. We're the
All a
victims
dream.
here.
So yeah, she goes, Sonic, I don't care if the world will end. I want to be with you.
Which is insane,
then-
by the way. You can't be with him if the world ends.
And
Idiot.
Sonic's like, girl, you crazy. Blow out that flame.
You be tripping.
I picked Amy in the Trial of Love, so I don't know why we're.
I don't know what you're going on about. You the side chick, baby.
Man, there's a section where Amy is talking to Elise, and
Oh,
she's like,
man.
once you find someone you love, you've got to declare your love for them. Do you love someone? I love someone. We both love someone, and we're going to be with them.
It's like
And
the
they never
worst
mention-
dramatic irony like I've ever heard in my life.
We're going to be sister wives, you and me.
It's horrible.
Okay.
It's horrible, but that's what they're plot. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, basically. And then Sonic like runs by and her feather falls, and she's like, one of her aides is like, "What was that?" She's like, "I don't know, but it felt so familiar." Oh man.
Did you notice another very important thing about the endings of each of the chapters, Pete?
When it says act mission at the end of everything, as if that's some big important acronym we've never been told.
No, each of them have their own songs.
Do they really? I didn't notice
Yeah,
that
so
at all.
Sonic's credits is one song, Shadow has a different song, Silver has a different song, and then the end of the game has a slow, sad song, because you just played a very serious story, you see?
You did. You did very serious. Very adult.
Want to know a fun fact about Sonic's song?
I would love
Yes.
It was produced by Akon.
What? Akon was
Why?
around at this time?
And
to. Why
not in
was he
jail.
doing this?
I was like, I just kept hearing, like, the song was playing, and I kept hearing, and I was like, what? Excuse
I
me,
knew
convict.
that.
I was like, what? No.
It
Can't be.
Is that an Akon in the distance?
I haven't heard that name in years.
He doesn't even sing. He just makes ad-lib sounds in the background.
Oh,
That'd be like if you told me, like, yo, you know who does Shadow's song? It's Sean Paul. He comes in for a quick hitter.
You know who does Silver's song? Nickelback.
really?
No.
I would believe it. You could tell me anything.
No.
I don't know what is a lie anymore.
Silver's is EDM, Shadow's is rock,
Yeah.
shitty new metal, and Sonic's is hip-hop because Akon's involved. Yeah, so this was a video game we all played. Oh,
Brutal.
except for one person.
Uh,
Em, how are you going to make it up to us?
So
Yeah, to me and Gino personally, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I apologize to my co-hosts and also to you, the listeners, who paid so much into our Patreon to get us to play this game. And then I had the busiest 2 weekends of my life at work, and so I did not get to play a single moment of this. So as penance, I'm going to play Sonic Project 06.
Yeah, you're going to do a book report on the fan remake of this game.
Apparently they fixed it.
Supposedly it's better.
Who knows?
They supposedly put scenes in the game that were in the code but are not executable.
I don't think that's what needed fixing.
More. There's just not enough here.
I don't see anything on this page that describes the changes they've made, so I could not tell you what it's going to entail. I could come back and say that it was worse. I doubt it.
No, Off the Deep End's co-host Braden Arbitrary Water Redacted has played both Sonic the Hedgehog and Project 06 and claims that Project 06 is playable.
Wow.
In a way that Sonic the Hedgehog is not.
Okay.
Let me give one more fun fact about this game that I half remember from a YouTube video I watched.
Mm-hmm.
So supposedly, at some point during the dev cycle, they did fix a whole bunch of bugs in this game, like made it much more improved. But they made all these fixes in the Xbox 360 version.
Not the PlayStation?
Well, it gets better.
Okay.
Because the PlayStation version was supposed to be the original one and the Xbox 360 was supposed to be the port. When they did the final version, they used the PlayStation version and then ported the Xbox 360 from that.
No.
So all the fixes they made were erased.
I learned another fun fact. The demo of this game was completed after the game went gold. So the code in the demo of the game actually is more complete and feature-rich than the actual game itself.
Cool.
So
Phenomenal.
the playable demo is more playable than this game ever was.
Can you still get that demo?
I don't know.
Damn.
So other fun fact, in 2010, Sega delisted Sonic the Hedgehog from all online retailers because every Sonic game with a below-average Metacritic score was wiped out in a great purge.
Even 4 years
So all
later,
of
it was
them?
still hurting the brand.
How many are still active then? Couldn't be
Just
like...
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite Sonic game.
It's just Sonic All-Stars Racing. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Yeah. And that's only because Mario is there.
Yeah, Nintendo never stops selling games. They're just like, no, this game moves, and it's also $60.
Yeah, it never decreases price either.
Yep. There are no
But Sonic
sales.
got his revenge because he's now the number 2 character on the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tier list.
That's true.
Yep.
Mission accomplished.
Next to Bayonetta.
So with that, we lay Sonic the Hedgehog to rest. R.I.P. Blaze the Cat, 420 Blaze it. You died for our sins.
Not quite laid completely to rest because I have to do my book report and I have a chaser for this.
Oh, no, what?
But not yet. It's
Okay.
Pete's turn. Unless you want
That's
the chaser
horrible.
right now.
No, I don't. That's
I do not
horrifying
want to turn into a
foreshadowing.
Sonic podcast.
This is, I promise, the very last Sonic game we will ever play intentionally.
We've played so many terrible Sonic games by now. We've done this, we've done Shadow, we've been the Sonic RPG.
Sonic Chronicles: the Dark Brotherhood.
Thank
God,
you.
there might be too many. All right.
They're all bad. So, like, just saying we played too many bad Sonic games is just saying we played too many Sonic games.
Mhm.
But now that we've put Sonic the Hedgehog and crucified Shadow the Hedgehog and Blaze, who died for our sins, behind us, Pete, what game are we playing next? You get to actually pick now.
I do. And look, this game was just too much. There was too much of everything. And I need a game that's less. I need something that's going to let me decompress, let me recover mentally, physically, emotionally. So I'm going to pick a very well-regarded strategy puzzler game, Dorf Romantique.
Excellent. Dorf Romantique, a game that you just picked this week.
Yep.
And not
First
the
y'all are
first
hearing about it.
before.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, dear listeners, and also to hell with you for making us play this. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Pete.
Yep. I'm excited. Hopefully we get to our next punishment soon enough.
Thank you, Em.
Thank you. Looking forward to playing a playable version of this game.
Enjoy it.
And,
I will. Maybe.
and thank you, dear listeners. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at Deep Listens Pod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. You can also support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. We are a scant 20 people away from having to play the thing that you pick for us from a terrible pile of video games. So till next time, peace. Okay, so step 1, we get enough money, we send Pete to Japan. Step 2, we do a cool crime, a cool white-collar crime, so you get sent to cool white-collar jail.
It's got to be like insider trading, so figure that out.
I can embezzle something, probably.
Okay. Yeah, that might get you in there.
You should smuggle. That's a cool crime.
No,
That is a cool crime.
They get too much of that. That's regular crime.
Oh, shit.
Dang it. Okay. Embezzle. Extortion? The X makes it sound cool.
I think it's too violent.
We'll workshop
Yeah,
it.
and then-
We
Yeah,
got
we'll figure it out.
we got time.
He's going to be there for a while.
Yep. Just drawing sketches of Sonic. Just a little flip book.
Do you think he even likes Sonic?
No!
He left. He took half the team with him.
Do you think that the Sonic the Hedgehog games are made by a person who has reverence for Sonic the Hedgehog?
When he was kissing a human woman.
I think
What
that
can I get away
features
with?
in a lot of Sonic fans fan fiction.
That's true.
You can't make that the
But
the
it's his
judgment.
fault.
It is his fault.
I think he was just seeing, well, they've got to call me on this one. I can't keep getting away with it.
That's what led to his life of crime. He's like, I've already committed so many crimes against humanity. What are financial crimes? in
Yeah,
the grand
clearly
scheme
no
of
one is
things?
watching.
I thought it was an Invisible Man situation. I thought I couldn't be stopped. Like, he did the insider training. He was like, you can see me. I didn't think anyone could see me.